Hey, everybody. We are speaking to you live from the land of Israel. And there's so much to talk about today. So many things to cover. This week has been jam-packed with lots of news. The biggest news item this week, I think, over the 9 days, were the 9 days, the days preceding Tisha B'Av, commemorating the sin of the spies, the destruction of the temples, so on and so forth. All the calamities that happen on Israel tend to happen over the 3 weeks and 9 days. 9 days, the first 9 days of Av. And what we see is the world, especially the Western world, imploding, right? With Britain and France, before that was Ireland and Spain. Britain and France specifically this week declare that they are going to announce their support for a Palestinian state in September. And that state clearly would have Jerusalem as its capital because the so-called Palestinians won't agree to a state without Jerusalem as its capital. So it directly feeds into our work here at Counteract because the nations of the world are clearly coming against Jerusalem. I should say no more, right? It's clearly biblical prophecies happening, unfolding, and it seems to be the only country in the world other than Israel, maybe two, Argentina and the US of A, United States of America, seem to be the only sane, rational countries in the entire world. Go figure. Daniel, what are your thoughts as I brought that all in?
Just unbelievable, but it makes a lot of sense that it's happening during these 9 days. I'd like to really start with the internal, what's happening internal, and then we'll get to the arrogance, the disgrace of some of these countries. In fact, I recently heard Menachem Begin. Every so often you have to hear a dose of Menachem Begin, the way he answered the world. And his answer to the German chancellor, many years ago, must have been 50 years ago now, when once again they also suggested the Palestinian state, is just beautiful, classic, the way it should be said. Who are the Germans of all the people to tell us that we're going to bring this terror state on our back doorstep? Anyway, we'll get to it. But internally, Tisha B'Av, as we know, started the first Tisha B'Av that brought all of the tragedies were the spies, were Jews internally who did not have the emunah, who did not have the faith, who rejected God, rejected Israel, rejected Yerushalayim, rejected the leadership of Moshe Rabbeinu, and said, no, we can't. No. That's when everything started. From that day onwards, God said, you cried for no reason, now you'll cry for reasons throughout Jewish history. The people internally that have little faith, I'm seeing every day here in Eretz Israel. It's just something that I want to explode sometimes and scream from the rooftops, how we are shooting ourselves in the feet, how people and our back internally are aiding and abetting even the enemy to a certain extent. I'm saying in inverted commas, in relation to the way they're talking about genocide, talking about the poor Palestinians, the babies, the starvation, as though that we're doing something purposely. By the way, I'm not even sure there's a country in the world who's been forced to go to war because they've been attacked and they have to supply food to the enemy. It's just, even that is mind-boggling. But the fact that these people internally are speaking against the government and against Israel and supporting everything that Hamas says is the Eruv Rav, the people that shouldn't be part of Am Yisrael. How to stab the Jewish people in the back when we're in a state of war, when our lives are on the line as a state, as a country, as a people, and they are doing everything possible to bring down the government, not Bibi, not the government, they don't know what they're doing. Doesn't matter what happens. Nothing is good. So the first thing is this internal problem that we have to somehow fix and wake up, shake them up. What are you doing? Don't you understand that you're destroying internally the same nation which is trying to protect you? That's the first thing. And by the way, it's the people we're talking about are the people that's meant to be the upper echelon of the army, the generals, the same generals that made the mistake about Gush Katif saying that would bring prosperous peace and a new Middle East and everything will be okay. They were wrong then. They're wrong today. I don't know why they keep on going to these stations 11, 12, 13. It's just abnormal why they keep on inviting back the same generals that made mistakes. And universities, so-called intellectuals that don't have a brain in their head. They may have a few neurons that are working for, for science and computers, but when it comes to basic understanding of logic and survival of Am Yisrael, here they are, the way they're talking about Israel, about what's going on in Gaza, as though they don't realize who is the enemy, what we're doing. Which country in the world is as moral as the Jewish state and the Jewish army giving notice, warning, please leave, bringing trucks in? We've got our own people in tunnels that are not eating, and yet we're bringing non-stop, because the world pressure and because of our super ethics, to an enemy. Everything is twisted, which may just mean, by the way, the Mashiach is on his way, because only when the world is so upside down can the Mashiach come. So that's my first thought that comes to me in relation to, what's going on here in Israel and the way things are being presented in the press. The hypocrisy, though, sometimes of these overseas newspapers taking pictures of kids that beforehand were sick and they're being used to show their starvation. If there was starvation, there should be hundreds, if not thousands, of pictures of kids. And the one or two pictures they take are kids with cystic fibrosis, with problems beforehand, who have travelled overseas. And the apologies and the twisting, it doesn't matter. The damage has already been done. But I don't care. David, I do not care what the world says. Yes, we have to try and convince the world to do what they have to, but they won't dictate to us what they think should be the plan for this country. Germany tried to do it when they tried to tell Begin that we have to create a Palestinian state. We're seeing it now. The countries are trying to dictate. Who are they to dictate to Israel? Who are they? We, the indigenous people, God has given us this land. There is no such thing as a Palestinian people. Why aren't we screaming this from the rooftops? Every single person should be saying to every news outlet, there is no such thing as a Palestinian people with a history and a heritage. Yes, there are Arabs living in the region who want to kill us, who want to destroy the Jewish state and drive us out. So we have to take our tiny homeland and give it to a people because that's what some countries in the world think. The lunacy, the hypocrisy, the anti-Semitism, the hatred to the Jew is just in your face. It's so open and clear, which is why, of course, we don't have to listen. And I don't know how this is going to pan out. Is Egypt going to be forced to open its doors, the most obvious, to look after their fellow Muslims? Will Qatar and Saudi Arabia put money down to open up their doors? We have to solve, no question, the fact that there are millions of Arabs that don't have a place to go and don't have a nation state. I mean, not a nation. I understand that. But at the expense of the tiny Jewish homeland that was given to us and we've got a connection to, for what reason? Are we trying to commit suicide? Are we slapping God in the face? No, this is not going to happen, and it won't happen. How it's going to unfold, only fools and prophets know the future, so I don't know. All I know is that at the moment, Gaza can't be rebuilt by hate-filled Hamas or the PA, and there's no difference between Hamas with a tie or Hamas without a tie. The PA is Hamas, with a certain tie. And thank God America started to see that. I saw even today that visas, I think, even for the PA. So, yes, there are plenty of Arabs that want to destroy us, but you don't give them a prize after October, after the tragedy, the nightmare of the 7th 2 years ago, and give them a state. What message is that sending to any phrase Muslim radical in the world who wants to achieve something? Aside from the fact that obviously it can't happen because it's the Jewish homeland. If France wants to create a homeland, let them do it in France. In fact, I actually see that in the next 25, 30 years, there could be some type of Arab state or Muslim state, in parts of England and parts of France. So,
Sure,
but it's not
sure.
going to happen here. It's crazy.
Ironically, their statement of supporting a Palestinian state sets them up to have the same thing happen to them. I mean, if you look at it, anybody can claim a state now. That's right. Anyone can claim a state, and other people can claim that's a state. It just creates total chaos, but they don't care, right? At the end of the day, they don't care.
What made just one other thing I just reminded myself, what makes this even more, I don't know whether ludicrous is the right word, but it's sad and funny that the two countries in the Western world that are pushing this so-called Palestinian state is England and France. And you've got a lot of other, second beat and, countries like Australia and, that just follow suit, like Canada, without even thinking twice, brainless anti-Semites that have no concept of what is Israel, what is the Jewish homeland. But the fact that it's England and France, they were the two countries that in the time of 1922, in San Remo with the League of Nations, they were the ones that pushed and promoted Palestine to be the Jewish national homeland. In fact, I should really have a go at them because they were the ones that actually broke up the Jewish homeland to create, the first time they attacked the Jewish homeland was when they broke up Palestine and they created Jordan. Remember, that initially it was meant to be Israel plus Jordan that they accepted. Palestine equals Jewish national homeland, accepted around the world by all the nations at the time, because that was our historical 3,500 or 800-year-old connection. It was obvious. And they cut it up then. And now they have the arrogance, the audacity, and actually it shows a certain amount of ignorance about their own history and Jewish history when they can even talk that the Jewish homeland should be divided and given to the Arabs. It's just lunacy.
Well, this is why they're doing it, right? Because they feel guilty. And since they're the ones who gave us the land, they still think they're running the show here, right? That's what's going on here. They're still running the show, and they feel that, okay, we can tell them what to do. That's what they think at the end of the day. What's ironic about this is it's forcing our government to annex. We'll probably start annexing areas of Gaza and annex Judea and Samaria because we have no choice now.
No, but I don't want to be a knee-jerk reaction like a punishment. Just like they're trying to punish the Jewish people for what we're doing, but it shouldn't be seen as a punishment. It has to be as a natural right. I mean, if it's going to be done, then Netanyahu or anyone else in the government has to say, we're annexing, we're getting back part of the Jewish homeland, and not, well, we're going to punish the Hamas because they're doing A, B, C, and D. Unless it may be a punishment, but then when you do something as a punishment, then theoretically, if they say, sorry, no, to do this, then we're not going to punish you anymore. No, it's not a punishment. We are getting back what shouldn't have happened in the first place. I mean, the people, there should be a lot of people in Israel doing this today, if they know what that is on the left wing. If it wasn't for Oslo and Gush Katif, we wouldn't be in the expulsion 20 years ago. We wouldn't be in this situation today. I'm not saying there wouldn't be Arabs that hated us. That would still be. But at least we wouldn't be in this situation. But I guess it had to be. In order for us to do what had to be done, Syria, Lebanon, Hezbollah, Iran, Hamas, it needed to be done. So it doesn't matter what should or shouldn't be done. But these two countries that are leading, these Western countries, they will pay dearly one day for what they're doing. Very, very dearly. If not, they're already paying today.
They're being taken over. That's what's going on. They're being taken over. For sure. Any final thoughts about Tisha B'Av and Jerusalem? Jerusalem and the connection of Jerusalem.
Yeah, well,
the strength of Jerusalem against the flood of anti-Semitism right now.
It's the flood of El Aqsa. In the Arab world, I saw recently that they're on social media within Gaza, whatever it remains of it, they're talking about the Mabul, the flood of the shoe, because they don't see it as a great victory of getting Jerusalem anymore. Some of them are starting to say, oh, what has Hamas done to us? We're like the shoe which is trodden on like a nothing anymore. They're having a go at Hamas. Not that they love the Jews so much, but they're having a go at Hamas, which I thought was an interesting twist on the Mabul of the shoes. That's how they're seeing the disgrace of how they have been decimated, how they have been rubbed into the dirt, their faces, what Hamas has brought this tragedy on everyone. But so they'll all pay. But in relation to Jerusalem, I mean, let's understand something, I think, at the core of everything. Jerusalem was destroyed, and we are told we must remember Jerusalem. But Jewish memory, and I wrote this in an email, I'm not sure how many people are watching this will have read that, but Jewish memory, according to many rabbis, and Rabbi Sachs says it beautifully throughout a number of his books, is always associated with action. There's no such thing as saying, I remember that. No. When we remember, we have to do something There's an action that goes along with what we're doing. You remember Shabbat, we keep Shabbat. We remember Pesach, you have matzah, maror, you sit at the table with your family and have a seder. We remember Amalek, Hamas, Hezbollah, they have to be destroyed. There's an action. It is not enough to sit and say, "Oi, Jerusalem, oi, where the great Jerusalem was, the temple first, the second." No, no. That, of course, has to be done. But if it does not lead to action, then you have not done what's meant to be done in the 3 weeks, in the 9 days, in the week of Tisha B'Av, and in Tisha B'Av, and even going all the way till Tu B'Av. We today at Teret Kohanim, as you know, David, we're at the forefront of keeping Jerusalem in Jewish hands. And there's no better action to tell the world, to tell Canada, to tell Australia, to tell England and France, and all the Sonei Yisrael around the world, that they're not going to have any Palestinian state, that what they think is the capital of Palestinian state is the heart of the Jewish people. And we're going to add Jewish life. When you're saying divide, we say no, and we will divide, and we will act, and we will do whatever is necessary to build that Jewish life. A person that does that, and that can be expressed by building a Beit Knesset in the Shiloach. It could be building a tourist project in Kidmat Zion. It can be helping make a miklat, a safe zone, and a Beit Knesset in Kidmat Zion also. It can be adding families to the Shiloach, a youth room and kids projects in the old city, whatever it may be. When you strengthen Jewish life in the heart of Yerushalayim, you are not just giving money, you are sending a message to yourself, to the Jewish people, including those that may be wandering and are like the Eruv, Rav, and the Meraglim, the spies, and you're sending a message to the world. And that message is, Yerushalayim belongs to the Jewish people. Yerushalayim will always belong to the Jewish people, and we will settle, live peacefully. By the way, settlement is a beautiful word, so is occupation, because we are the indigenous people in this land, and it makes perfectly good sense to settle, inherit, conquer, whatever you like, Yerushalayim, Jerusalem, and the whole land of Israel. I wish everyone a meaningful fast, and we still have 2 days. We never know. It can still be transferred in some miraculous way to a day of joy, which it will be at some point. And hopefully that will happen. If not, then have a meaningful fast and make it even more meaningful by remembering with action. We're here.
Have a meaningful fast. Shabbat Shalom, Daniel.
Shabbat Shalom, David.